Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast that will be renamed soon to the Caffeinated Cryptid. And I think that's coming up in the end of June after I do my trip to the Outer Banks. So I'm going to be a little more nichey on here. I'm going to knock out the stand-up comedians and all the random people and just focus on the big three: the Sasquatch and the UFOs and the Bluetooth that didn't connect there just for a second. Wow. But yeah, it's going to be called the Caffeinated Cryptid. It's always going to be on BobbyDizzle.com, and I'll have another thing. So if you're watching this, you can subscribe and be safe. It's going to stay the same. And if you're watching as well, please share. But enough about me. Enough about that. The bookkeepings of a podcaster with less than 1,000 subs. Tonight we have Melinda Williams, the certified psychic medium, psychic artist, psychic detective, utilizes her abilities to assist others, known as the Enchanted Medium. She specializes in rescue mediumship, aiding in earthbound spirits and crossing over, which is amazing because I like that subject, and conducting seances for communication with friends and family. She has extensive training with renowned experts. She serves as compassionate voice for missing and departed individuals, collaborating with family and law enforcement. And you can check her out. She takes appointments, I guess you could say, patients, for lack of a better term, and the website's in the description there. It's a Wix website, so hard for me to say. Melinda, how is it going? I know we're clunky starting off, but we're started off, and a win is a win.
That's it. I'm doing great. How are you, Bobby?
Pretty good. And you're coming to us live from old Gatlinburg, which
Yes.
I'm told is not as fun as it sounds, but I can imagine.
That's for sure.
I'm from like a bass fishing town. I'm from a town everybody comes to bass fish, and they're like, "Oh, it's real fun. It's just the lakes and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, but there's other places."
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've been in the seedy underbelly of Gatlinburg as well, just behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the BMW park backwards next to the mountain coaster all day.
Exactly.
Fun and
Exactly.
we'll get to the psychics in a second, but the other day we were talking about it, and I talked to a coworker. I said, because her uncle is a tattoo artist over in Pigeon Forge, and his name is Bush, I think. I can't think of his title of his studio, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm thinking the only thing you can do up there is be a service worker.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
what else is there? Real estate agent, maybe.
yeah, currently I'm a property manager. So,
Yep. Well, there you go. That's not the worst thing in the world. I'm looking at getting a
no,
cabin up
no,
there.
it's a pretty
I
good
was-
job, I have to
yeah,
say.
I'm trying to find a vacation cabin, 4 or 5 bedrooms to buy and have a steady income. We're up there all the time. We're only 3 hours away.
Oh my gosh, really? I didn't know that, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm in Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
I go to Gatlinburg like it's a weekend trip. Anytime I'm craving pancakes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we love it up there. We got go to the stay at Dolly's Dreammore when we go.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice place.
They got the bunk beds for the kids. You can't keep them out of it. They
Right.
got the in-house breakfast. If it's because we came up there last time when it snowed and shut everything down
Oh, wow.
about a year ago, and we ended up stranded at Dreammore for a day, which was pretty nice. I've been
Yeah.
stranded in worse places. I've been stranded in way worse places.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about the psychic medium here. I was going to start with your bio is pretty. I don't want to say flagrant, but it emphasizes the fact that you were a child when this happened.
Yes.
Like, explain how that first felt when you were just like a little kid and you were seeing all these things. I just talked to somebody last night with the same abilities, and they were saying how their mom was almost scared of them.
Well, I've got really a long history. So
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, I was 7 is the earliest I remember, and
Mm-hmm.
I had gotten sick, and I kept seeing something that was coming to me, and the people, and I have to say the people that raised me, because they're not my real family, and I found
Mm-hmm.
that out later. Um, they wouldn't believe me. They wouldn't, they thought that had something bad wrong with me, like something
Mm-hmm.
dark attached to me, the devil, whatever you want to call it. And but it was a warning. And so by that night late, I got very, very sick, and I did pass. And so,
Really?
yes, they
Okay.
brought me back, and that was the first time. I've had 2 of those. The other time one was when I was 18 and had my first child, and I had passed on that account too. So but the earliest is 7 years old, and that was the way it all came about.
Really?
That I
So
can remember.
yeah, it seems to be the commonality between a lot of people with these abilities is they had the NDE or I guess the straight up passed away and came back.
Yeah, and then like I said, I found my real family in 2010, and I learned then that my mom and my twin brother had the same gifts.
Oh wow! So you kind of genetically
Hmm.
predisposed. Now,
Yes,
are they as flagrant about it, or not, the word flagrant's a bad word? Are they as open? I'm not going to say you run around town like a wizard, but you could in Gatlinburg and get away with it as long as you were selling vape pens. But
exactly.
you were, or are they as open? Are they as open about it? And kind of use it to their the better society, kind of like you do.
Well, I found out my real family. They I found them in 2010, and that my mom's Native American. She passed. I only got to know her for 6 months after I found her, and she had a rare leukemia. And then I had found out I had a twin brother, and he ended up getting the same leukemia, and he passed in 2015. Then I ended up getting the same leukemia, but my brother had gave some DNA and different things to try to see
Mhm.
if they could help because they knew I was going to get it, and so I used that, and it put me in remission, and I've been in remission ever since.
Okay, so you're doing good now, then
Yes,
kicking on along. Okay,
exactly.
yeah, that's weird. That was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask you if you ever had any kind of uh, tearing of the veil, so to speak. Because
Oh
the
yeah.
Bigfoot guys I talk to all have I mean, it's a majority. It's easily 70-30 who have had a death experience or, you know,
Mm.
Long Island Bigfoot, Mike Colantonio. He has a lot of psychic kind of experiences like you, and he sees the cryptids up on Long Island. He had an ND, had a IED hit him
Mm,
in Iraq,
wow.
and so he came back, and door was wide open, just like kind of like what you were saying.
Right. Exactly.
It's amazing. Not amazing, but it's almost like it's a combination, like it lessens, like especially since you were a little kid and you were already susceptible to it at that age.
Right.
You're
Right.
right there
Yeah.
on the cusp of still seeing a past life, so to speak, like some people say.
Exactly. It was really, a lot of people would say, well, they remember 4 and 5 years old. I don't remember
Hmm.
4 and 5 years old. But the earliest I remember was when I was 7, or nearly 7. And that happened. And it was like a floating, white looking spirit. And it just kept making faces at me. And then I got
Hmm.
really, really sick. And what was weird, I had my son, and then, I passed then too. But then when he got about 6 years old, nearly 7, was telling me, Mom, Mom. And, and I went to him, and it was in the middle of the night. And he kept saying there was a face. There was a face looking at him, making faces at him. And I said, well, where is it at? Because I wanted to see, if he would tell me, and because I could see it too. And that night, he got really sick, just like I did,
Hmm.
and it was his appendix, but it was there warning him, and he nearly died. He didn't die, but he nearly did.
Now, was yours appendix or something different?
No, mine was a blockage. I had a,
Ooh,
blockage in my bowel.
here you go. I was reading a comment. Angel Wings commented. She mentioned that I just took a pic of dragon spirit sticking tongue out. Oh yeah, Angel Wings sees your spirit guides a lot,
Oh, wow.
and she has angel wings. Yeah, she said sends pictures, and I'm like, wow, that's a. I don't know if I'd live in that house anymore.
Oh, wow.
That really happens. Well, I'll cut to the chase. Can we talk about the murder mystery law enforcement assistance? That's the most interesting. Not that crossing over is not interesting, but that's the most interesting, like down to earth. I mean,
Right.
how have you helped law enforcement solve murders, things like that?
So, basically, I have done this most of my life. I started working in law enforcement as a dispatcher.
Oh,
So I had some background in law enforcement there. But then I started doing this type of work once because I moved out of Tennessee and I moved to Arizona. So I started doing a lot of this work because they're more open to the stuff there than they are out east. And I hate to say that. I'm not saying every state out east is that way, but
Well, yeah, Arizona got the Navajo and the hippies. I mean,
oh yes.
it's very open.
So basically, I started like the first case I done was there was a child that kept coming to me. And I didn't know at first what had happened. And she was trying to show me something which I didn't understand.
Mhm.
And then she's like, kept on and kept on. And so I finally got, it was in the middle of the night. I finally got up and I just started writing everything she told me. Then the next day, it came on the news about this little girl that was missing. And it was her because I was like, oh my God, that looks just like her. So then I reached out and contacted law enforcement. At first, they did not want to talk to me. They didn't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That was one thing I was wanting to ask about is how they received it to begin with.
well, some agencies they
Yeah,
do. They're open and they're like, well, what do we got to lose? Especially if it's a cold case. Um,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah, especially.
yeah, but some are very reluctant to even let you come in and try to do anything. But and if they do let you, they will never admit to that ever. Uh-uh. So basically, when that happened, I just went and I said, "This is something I need to give to you, and this is where you're going. This is where you can find her." Because I seen she showed me a road sign.
Mhm.
She showed me, I sketched what she showed me, the person that was the perpetrator in the crime, and so I'd done all of that, and I just said, "Here it is. Do with it what you wish." And so then it led them to her body.
Wow.
So that was the first one I ever did. Then I got, other calls here and there with like there was an episode where a child had drowned. They couldn't find her body. They had been looking for nearly a month, couldn't find her, so they called me in. There was a snippet with Fox News where they were talking to me on the scene. Um, so basically, I just said, "She's here. She's showing me," and it's like 30 minutes away from where I lived, and I didn't know the area. I didn't know the names of the roads, and I went down there and I said, "Okay." They hooked me up with one of the officers, and I said, "Okay." I said, "She's standing here with us," and they're looking at me like, "Okay," and I'm like, "She's showing me, she's showing me in this hand an orange. I don't know what that means," and he goes, "Well, he says, "Further down the river, there's a place called Orange Peel." I said, "Well, we need to go there." So we went there. Then I said, "Okay, she's showing me a statue of a Native American."
Mhm.
And he goes, "Well, further down the road around, there's a bend in the river." And he says, "And it is called Indian Bend." I said, "That's where her body is." He's like, "No," he says, "We have dived and I said, "I'm telling you, that's what her body is. That's what she's indicating." I said, but it's underneath something like a log or
Mhm.
something. She's entwined." So he says, "Okay." He says, "We're going to go back." So they were down there and I'm standing and waiting and just, I know they're going to find her. She's standing there saying, "I'm there." And I'm like, "I know you are."
Mm.
And about an hour or so later, they found her. And I told him, I said, "When you find her and you bring her up, she's going to look like she just fell in." They said, "No, not Melinda. That can't because she's been down there for nearly a month." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, she's going to look like she just fell in." When they pulled her out, they were like, "Oh my God, she looks like she just fell in." So, that
Really?
one was really hard. It's hard for me when it's children.
Was was that like somebody had dumped her there recently, like had her preserved before for the
Well,
whole
no,
time,
this was not a
or was
murder
it frozen?
situation or nothing like that. It was just an accident,
Mhm.
and the child had fell into the water, and they couldn't find her.
It's just
So
crazy she wasn't any farther decomposed or anything.
she looked like she had just fell in.
Wow, a month is a long time in that world.
exactly. And,
That
and and they're like, that's what it's like. No, Melinda, no, you no. I can tell you right now. And I'm like, I'm telling you, she's showing me how she's going to look when you bring her out, and she's going to look like she just fell in, and she
oh
did.
wow, that's wild. Like
So
I've seen that's there's like an episode of that new Unsolved Mysteries about psychics helping out. So that's it's fascinating to see it work because you think they'd dedicate a little bit of funding toward maybe a task force. I don't know.
yeah, I know. Like I'm teaching a psychic detective class
Mhm.
currently, and my some of my students should be watching, but anyway, and
Welcome,
so
welcome if
I'm
you are.
what
Is Denise one of your students? We had Denise here.
Denise is, yes.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't want to pop somebody up while you were talking. It may or
Oh,
may not
that's
be
okay.
somebody you know.
That is
Yeah,
perfectly
Denise
fine.
says hello. Hello, Denise. Of course, I got our buddy Dark Hour. He was on early about an hour ago. I don't know if he's watching still. Yeah, that's incredible. That reminds me of just I want to say TV shows, but how they it reminds me of remote viewing is what it sounds like. Except your stuff sounds more specific.
Well, I'm teaching remote viewing too, because to me, remote viewing is clairvoyance.
Hmm.
If you can get the remote viewing in, then you can use that in trying to help locate and that kind of thing. So that's what I'm teaching in my class with my students.
Is the psychic part is confusing like remote viewing and psychic? It's like one. It's not one and the same, but it is. Like remote viewing,
Right.
you see like shapes and like a trigger object. In psychic, you actually see the
Right.
landscape maybe.
Remote viewing to me is if you learn to do remote viewing, which it is very confusing, and I've been laughing at my class because they're like,
Hmm.
okay, and then but in remote viewing, you will not believe the things you will pick up, because
Hmm.
you get a coordinate, you do the ideogram, and you will not believe the things that you get.
Hmm.
And so once you get that down, and you can actually what I do and what I'm going to teach my students is you can take the remote viewing and entwine it into the psychic detective work.
Hmm.
And so you can get more information. So it's just another tool.
That's what
So
that. Yeah,
when
that's
you're
kind of what it sounded like to me. I had a Paul Smith on here not too long ago.
oh my gosh, that's the one I trained under.
Yeah, yeah, he was my friend Randy, who I worked with. It's his uncle by marriage.
Oh my gosh, Paul is
Yeah,
amazing. He is
I was
just
terrified.
completely amazing.
I was terrified to have him on because I saw him on documentaries and I followed him for a
Oh
long
yeah.
time, and saw him on the Joe Rogan show.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, this guy's going to be, kind of a dead fish, and like he doesn't want to talk to me. This he opened up like we've been knowing each other for years.
Yes.
I was like, this guy's amazing,
He is. He is. I love him. He is just completely amazing.
isn't he? Isn't he like he's like your grandpa or something?
Yes, he's
Uncle
just
Paul.
and he taught me the dowsing,
Hmm.
and I use dowsing now nearly on every case. It is completely amazing. I mean, I just rave and rave about Paul. He is just completely amazing to me.
Now, what is dowsing for the people listening at home?
So dowsing, okay, what
I vaguely remember, but remind me.
so I'm gonna tell you what I learned from Paul. So I took his class, and it's
Did you go
basic.
out there to Arizona or Utah?
Oh, no, we done it on live
Okay,
like this, and
sorry.
we had a class like this, and, so basically, I incorporated this into my psychic detective work. He showed us how to take a map,
Hmm.
and we would take it, and we would use our pendulum, and we would use the ruler, and so say we're looking for someone's remains or a body or whatever, and we know it's in Texas, let's just say, and we know it was in this county that this happened. So then you take and you blow up the maps, and you start dousing that area and see where the pendulum will show you if the body or remains is in this area. I've done it and it has worked.
Really?
I was
Kind of like
dead
your
on.
energy pointed toward it.
Yes, I was dead on with finding a body.
Wow. Yeah, that remote
So
viewing is incredible.
Paul Smith, I mean, I rave and rave about him. I just love him dearly. He really taught me the dowsing was something that I was so intrigued about. And now I incorporate that in every case that I work.
Yeah, if you learned it from him, it was definitely a good strategy. He has a couple. He does a couple more things he was telling me about. I think the part about remote viewing which really got me was how I told him like how do you break ground on something without being subjective? And he was talking about how you could use like a almost like a fake encryption, like
Hmm.
like a number. He always said 8675309.
Yeah.
And he said that might mean Russian bunker
Right.
with a submarine in it to the person giving it to you, and it's up to you to cross that threshold. I'm
Exactly.
like, man, that really like if that works one time, that legitimizes the whole thing.
Exactly, and it does work because when I took it and we were working it, and at first I was like, "Now this is just crazy,"
Hmm.
and then once I started doing it and I started hitting, I'm like, "Oh my god!" So it does work. It really does work.
And he said, "Oh, the coordinator."
Hmm.
You know, I had kind of a woo woo moment with Paul whenever we were talking because I'd always been fascinated with since I was in like third or fourth grade. Like people say, to be a psychic, you just couldn't think, or to read minds, you can't think. And every time I had tried to do that, for some reason, I thought of Abraham Lincoln. He goes, "Well, you've seen the men that stare at goats." I'm like, "No, I've never seen it." He goes, "Well, that's the first thing they look for at men that stare at goats is the Lincoln Monument, Lincoln Memorial." I'm like, "Holy shit. Did I like inadvertently did I inadvertently remote view that?"
Right, right, and I'm telling you, you start learning that, it's going to help you in a lot of different ways.
I think I kind of do that like 1% just because stuff randomly occurs to me.
Right, and you're not
Like,
realizing that you're doing it.
yeah, pew, 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 pew.
Right, exactly.
I'm real in tune with angel numbers. That's one thing I tell people like you. I'm like, I don't know how they work or why they work, but that's the one thing that I can. It's the one thing I can pay attention to and kind of
Mhm.
quasi let it
Yes,
guide me a little bit.
I use angel numbers a lot. I really pay attention to those numbers, and I they correspond with a lot of things that I teach and a
Hmm.
lot of things I do.
Do you have a favorite website for them, or you just use the sun signs and the
Um,
first five on Google?
I usually, I've got a lot of books on it.
Yeah. So,
I
or
got
you
one
have a book
by
that actually is legit.
yeah, I got Kyle Gray. Kyle Gray done an excellent book on angel numbers. So did Radley Valentine. So I prefer book more than
Hmm.
anything. So I've got all kinds of books, but yeah, I use those a lot. And if I'm not around the book, then I'll go to the internet if I'm like,
Hmm.
oh gosh, what does that mean? What does that coordinate to? That kind of thing. So
Yeah, there's about four of them that pop up when you do that. The first four or five on Google. See,
yep.
I didn't know what was. I didn't know what was happening to me when it first started happening.
Oh
I'm like,
wow.
what in the? I'm like, what is the? Why do I keep seeing this number when these things happen? And why do I can almost use it as a tool? And I just
Right.
Google. I'm like, I keep seeing this number, and that's how I discovered it. Like
Oh
it got to be like having mosquitoes around you. I'm like, why
right.
do I does that keep happening? And the farther I dug, like my angel number was my wife's phone number when we met. Both my
Hmm.
grandparents had my angel number in it. Both my grandparents' phone numbers did.
Yep.
I was like, this is something crazy.
It is.
And
It can
I
like
I don't know why. Like that's the one thing I noticed. I can't do anything else.
well, you could. You
Yeah.
just got to set that mind to it.
What if I go to like a real haunted house? I just get lit up. I'm like, oh, I've just never been there.
Oh, Bobby.
Like, hey, there he is. Get him.
That's
It's that
it.
angel number. It's an angel number, kid. I was talking to somebody last night about it. She was I guess she was along the same line. She sees dead people, and she's one of the guys that say, "Don't scare me in my own house," kind of
Right, right.
mediums. It looks like you're probably along those lines as well.
Yeah, I mean, some people they shut it down at night, so
Hmm.
they can sleep, and I can't. I won't do that because of the fact of I'm always thinking, what if it's a child? What if it's a child? So I leave myself open.
Never just appear in the mirror like randomly brushing your teeth.
Sometimes, a lot of times they come whenever I'm asleep, and I feel this cold touching like this.
Hmm.
And then I wake up and I'm like, okay, we've got somebody here. Let's see what we got to do tonight. So I just keep myself open all the time for it.
I mean, if this would happen since you were 7, it's not exactly like it's shocking. I mean, it's still got to be a shock every now and then.
Sometimes, especially like the biggest thing that I've noticed is like, say something happens wherever I'm living close in the spirit that, say it's a car accident, and someone passes and then they come directly to me, then sometimes I can see what they look like as far as what happened to them in the car accident. So that can get sort of,
Oh
you know,
yeah, like the mangled look. Oh man,
right.
I've heard talk about that before. Like, don't show me that.
Right, and sometimes they've come to me that way, and now I've gotten used to it after all this time. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been doing it ever since I was 7, I'm gonna be 55, so I've done it for a long time.
yeah. Have you ever investigated like the missing kid up in the Smokies? The most famous one, the feral.
I have been asked sorry, I don't know what's happening here. I have
It's
been
okay.
asked to.
I can't
I
think of his
haven't
name. It
done
happened in like
it.
the 60s, maybe.
Yeah, it was in the 60s or 70s, and I've had several people to, approach me to ask me to do it, which I think it would be fascinating to do it. Because there's been other people, disappeared in around the same area.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, and no. I mean, if with the picture, like I did work on it a little bit with just his picture, and the things I picked up there was really, really strange, really
Really,
strange.
like
So
what was the strangeness like? I mean, it was like cryptid
I
level
felt
or
like that. Well, I felt like there was a portal there, a parallel
hmm,
world,
that makes sense because he just
and
vanished.
yeah, and like he was I kept seeing it and I was like, if I could go there, I can show you where it's at. I can show you where I'm seeing because what it looks like is sort of looks like waves
Hmm.
to me. And but it looks like, you can see like through it and it looks like, what it would look like there with all the trees and stuff, but you can tell there's some kind of energetic something going on right in that area.
Hmm.
And I felt like he went through that, not meaning to, not realizing, and then he couldn't get back.
Because it's right there on that trailhead, isn't it? I can't think of
Yes.
the name. It's I keep wanting to say the cabin of Alam K, but it's not. It's on around.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it either, but there was a lot of I kept seeing that over and over with his picture.
And there was a guy missing 68 years old not too long ago over there on the other side of the
Yep.
park.
Yeah, on the North Carolina side. Yep. Sure was.
They
As far
were
as I know, he's still missing.
yeah, and that was weird because they found nothing.
Right.
And let me think a second. Yeah, they found nothing. They didn't find his shoe, and they think he disappeared. Like he's gonna David Pilates might look into it. That's what I was thinking because he follows along missing 411 National Park,
Right.
68,
Right.
knows the woods. He was like an
Uh-huh.
avid outdoorsman.
Yeah. I'm telling
I had
you.
the I was on a show with a bunch of first responders not too long ago. It's DA Ex Machina, DA Roberts.
Okay.
He's a he's a sci-fi author, dog man, aficionado, but
Right.
they're all about it. One lives over by you in South Carolina, and one lives in the Ozarks. And
Mm,
they were just flabbergasted by that story because of how they portrayed the guys like just avid outdoorsmen, just nothing.
right. There's no, yeah.
No bear kill scene, no
No,
bear
nothing.
presence. I don't know that a black bear do a lot. Well, I would, but okay. So it's David Lloyd Martin. I had to look it up.
Okay.
That was the little kid
Mm,
back in the 60s.
right, right.
I was trying to find the trailhead. Yeah, doesn't matter. Spence Field. I know where that is. That's over by
Mhm.
Kate's Cove. Sure as shit.
Yes, in the Kate's Cove area, yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly. Wow. I think I got a picture of myself over by that by that sign.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And see, I feel like it's not always there. It's only at certain times.
That would make
See,
a lot of sense if it comes in and out.
I could take you exactly to the spot.
Like, is it right on like by the road?
Uh, it's it's like it runs a line. So some of it is close to the road,
Mhm.
and but then it goes on down and it goes further away from the road. And like I said, it's certain times of the year that it does this.
And it's a national park.
Hmm.
That's they were they weren't made just for their beauty. Teddy Roosevelt knew something was up.
Exactly.
They I mean, look at the biggest tale is I've heard. This is not my hypothesis, but like the Arkansas howler is the reason the Ozarks were created. Like well, the Ozarks ain't any different than any other mountain range.
Right. Exactly.
It's like you don't see if that was the case, the mountain range was the problem. Then the whole freaking Smokies would be. The Smokies are huge.
Right. Exactly. Hmm.
That's that. What's those mountains in Georgia? Yeah, they're not. Are they a national park? I don't know.
I don't know either.
The ones the ones in North Georgia.
I would
Yeah, that's
think
just
so, but I don't know.
yeah, that's just crazy though. Like that you saw the portal. Now, do you ever? I'll get into my favorite subject, the Bigfoot. Do you ever encounter like those on your crossing over and feeling them?
I have had encounters with Bigfoot, and I have encounters with shapeshifters.
Oh, so you've actually seen the
Yes.
Bigfoots when they pop in and out.
Hmm. And a lot of people's like, oh, I'm like, okay, well, you have your belief. I know what I saw. I know what I've connected to. I know, and like with especially with the shapeshifters, they can transform into any animal that they want, and they are real. I've
Is
had
that the
an
same as the Wendigo over there?
very similar. The Wendigo is more in Canada, and I did work a case on the Wendigo in Canada. Um, and that one was, oh my gosh. I mean, I was so into it. And but yeah, it's very similar. The shapeshifter is they call it another word, but I don't call it that because you can bring it to you if you say it.
Don't
And
say it.
so
I don't play with that stuff,
yeah, it's
even though I know the word.
yeah, you know the word, yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so it's very real. When I lived in Arizona, I was on a back road, and that's when I encountered both the Bigfoot and um the shapeshifter. And I've had an encounter with a UFO.
Oh, really?
So
Was it Arizona too? Like,
mhm, yeah, I was
what?
between Payson, Arizona, and I was on my way to Sedona. And it was late at night, and I was going down the back. It was, I don't know, it's called 87.
Mhm.
That's the name of the road. And I was taking the back way, and it's all wooded, and I was just driving along, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my car just started acting funny. It stopped, and then that's when the lights came over. The car was dead. It wouldn't do anything. And I seen the lights, and I got out of the car, and I was looking. I'm like, what is going on? And then it hit me, and I jumped back in my car, and then it took off. And then, like 15 minutes later, my car started back up, and I got out of there.
That's like the Betty and Barney Hill scenario with the car cutting off.
Yeah, it did. It wouldn't do anything.
You didn't lose any time or anything, and wake up at 6 hours later.
Well, no, I mean, on my watch that I had on, there was like a 20-minute, because I turned on my radio once I started going, and they were saying it was this time, but my watch was like 20 minutes behind.
Oh, lost time.
So it was weird, and but these things do exist.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to even say they don't anymore after doing these shows all the time because you say the same thing people you don't know say.
That's
That's
exactly what
incredible.
happened, and I'm just like, but it was really amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, at first I was a little bit afraid, but then I was like, oh my God. And so I got out, and I was wanting to know what it was doing and what it was going to do. But they didn't take me or nothing that
how
I'm
long did it
aware of.
stay?
Huh?
How long did you say you saw it?
It was
Just
there
for a second.
about 15, 20 minutes.
Just kind of hung
It
up
was
there
just
like a.
hovering over my vehicle in the mountains, in the trees. I mean, I could look straight up like that, and it was just right over me.
Oh,
And then my car wouldn't start. It wouldn't do anything. No lights. Everything was out.
now, was it doing anything like a chime walking
It was
or
like
just
just over me, and there was like lights that came down onto
yeah?
the car. It was very bright lights. Whenever I would look up, it was hard for me to see hardly anything.
Was were the lights like coming through the ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. There was a video just released of that happening,
Yes.
and you may have heard about it. I may be Johnny come lately for you, but it's from the '90s, out that way, probably closer to Area 51 to be honest. But
No.
uh, you know the guy that just did the movie Moment of Contact from Brazil.
I don't watch TV, so I
Okay,
don't know a lot about movies or anything.
well, it was a documentary on Netflix or
Okay.
Amazon, and it was about the alien landed in Brazil back in the day, and everybody was talking Portuguese because it's Brazil. But he came on Rogan about 3 months after it released, and was telling about a video he saw that, like you were saying, it was above him. Kids, the car wouldn't start. The light came through the top of the car.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing he said that then the video thing was doing this, like it was almost sitting like on water, hovering around, like it was a saucer. And the
Yeah,
guy kept it, and
I couldn't tell because it was
yeah,
so bright.
yeah, you can't see it just in your face.
Yeah, it's just right there in your face. And I did get out trying to look up, and I knew it was like octagonish looking.
Mm-hmm. It was shapes.
Yeah.
You know who Mr. Beast is? The guy that's got like 1 billion YouTube followers. There's all
No.
kinds of crazy. Yeah, you're not any worse off not knowing who it is.
Okay.
He's like the biggest YouTube person there is / podcaster. But he does like charity events, gives people like a $50,000. They can answer a question kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
But that same guy went on to Mr. Beast channel and gave him the name of the guy that had that tape I was just telling you about from the '90s. Had hidden cameras. He took a video of it because the guy wouldn't let him see the tape. I don't know if he's released it or not, but he said it's probably been watched 1,000 times because it was real grainy. But it was
Right.
He said exactly he saw the video as well.
Oh wow.
It was like you know how anybody that has good proof won't release it, and it pisses me off to no end. I'm like,
right.
It's got to be some kind of people that see the things regularly, which I don't understand why you wouldn't want to make a deal and document it, but maybe
Yeah,
that's just
I mean, this happened to me it was in the 90s.
really
Yeah, it
okay.
was
So
in
it was
the
about that
90s.
time frame.
Yeah, it was in the 90s, and I didn't have nothing to document it
No,
with. I was just on my way to Sedona. So,
I was just going to Arizona.
yeah, exactly. I was just going through and going from one place to the other place, and it was really weird.
So you wait, do you think anything about the ranch in Utah?
Oh gosh, I'm going there. I'm going to be going there soon.
Are you really?
Yes,
Is that the word you didn't want to
that's
say?
the word.
Okay. I almost said it. So what do you think about?
But you know, if you say it I'll say it then that way. Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got big plans to go there. I want to go there and see the things what I see there because I've dealt with shapeshifters before.
Mhm.
So I want to go there. I
They're
definitely
kind of a blood in kind of bunch too. They're not just
right.
a cryptid. You got to buy into that mess.
Yep.
Don't you have to kill somebody?
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah. I mean to be a shapeshifter. It's like
Okay.
an initiation process.
A shapeshifter, you know, that comes from the Navajo.
Yeah.
My dad was Navajo. And so basically it's they call them a witch also. And they practice bad medicine instead of the good medicine. And what they do is, you know, they do try to take a life to make them stronger.
Yeah, I think that's what I was hearing about them.
Yes. Yes. And see, in the Navajo way, like when someone passes, the Navajo look at as a passing is we have a good side and we have a bad side. So a light side and a dark side.
Mhm.
The light side leaves us and goes, but the dark stays. So they're afraid of the chinda. The chinda is something that is part of the dark. And if you come around someone that has just passed, then the chinda is there. And the saying is that the chinda attaches to the next live person.
So that's what
So,
they're trying to force when they're doing the initiation.
mhm.
It's
So it's a beautiful. I love Navajo culture and all of that. But the shapeshifter. A lot of medicine people will not speak of the shapeshifter ever.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
They
I
don't
didn't
want to
know
bring it to them.
the Navajo area out there was as big as West Virginia.
Oh yes, the
That's
Navajo. Oh yeah,
massive.
it's a massive place.
That's my favorite episode of the new not Close Encounters, Unsolved Mysteries. The
Okay.
Paranormal Rangers. It's about the Navajo reservation and
I haven't seen that.
oh man, you need to get on that. That's a good one. It's Unsolved Mysteries. It's just it's a whole episode about the Navajo reservation.
Really? Oh, I would love to see that.
They all look like Lou Diamond Phillips,
Yes.
and they the guy from I reference a lot of TV. I'm a redneck dork from North Alabama. I'm in, but it's the guy from he's in Twilight. He's the main werewolf, not Taylor, but his dad.
Okay,
But he's
yes.
also
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, you know who he is. He's got the big bright eyes
Yes, yes.
and kind of looks like a Native American Kevin Costner almost.
Right,
And
right.
he's got
Yes.
the same shape, but he's also in Yellowstone as well, I
Yes, he
believe.
is. Hmm.
But they look like him. But he said they got complaints from the citizens that they wouldn't acknowledge Bigfoot sightings. Like nobody ever shows up and report Bigfoot. They just tore a hole in my trailer.
Right. Yeah.
Dude,
Oh my gosh. I'm
they're
gonna have
putting
to
their
see it.
hands in these holes, and it's not a bear. There's no bear there, and there's these
Oh
holes,
wow.
and like I couldn't do that. He's like trying to make it happen by punching it. It's like hurting
And
himself. He was like,
right.
do this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a good episode. I watch something like that. I either watch stand up comedy or some kind of documentary like that when I go to sleep. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Well, there was this this has been years and years ago, and I want to say it was called Navajo Cops.
Yeah,
It's they had an episode on there about a shapeshifter. Oh
probably the
my
same
gosh.
guys.
And you will know there's a shapeshifter around because there's a smell. A very, very bad death smell.
Wasn't that long ago. Look, I'm looking up
So
Navajo cops.
that is really, really a good show. I haven't watched it in so long, but it's a very good show.
Man, these may be the same guys.
Oh, really? Oh
that
gosh.
one guy, that one guy totally was the same one. Not
Oh
to saying they
wow.
all look alike, but I think it was him.
Oh my goodness.
I just want to ride around the desert in a 4-wheeler all day. Sign me up.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I
Have
wanted
you
to
ever
be a
been to
forester.
Arizona?
Hmm.
Love
I've been
Arizona.
from one end to the other. I could deal
Really?
with the deserts. Yeah, we were. I was in the band in high school, and we went to all the bowl games, parades. The bowl games had a
Right.
parade. You had the Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, uh, went to Chicago and stuff. So we went to all the we go Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
You go from Phoenix up to I guess it's up to the border, up to the top of Arizona where the
Right.
Grand Canyon is.
You need to visit Jerome,
Jerome?
Arizona. It is very,
Sounds fun.
very. There's so many spirits and things that are there.
Oh, Pueblo. Holy, that looks spirity.
Oh yeah, it is. I've been there once. I want to go back. But yeah, there's a cemetery there. There's the motel there that's in Jerome because Jerome is a very small place.
It says
In
Ghost
the
City.
Yes, it they have the motel there. There was a picture that was taken, and in the rafters you could see a spirit of a little girl. So it's a very amazing. And another place to visit there is Vulture City.
Culture City, Arizona. Following along at home here.
It's Vulture City is it's in Arizona. They hold a Paracon there every year. They do ghost tours there. Jay and Marie Yates are the main ones over it, and they've been on TV. I'm really good friends with them, love them dearly, and but yes, Vulture City, it is really an exciting place to go.
Yeah, I've seen this big stone barn they're featuring a lot somewhere before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's looks very familiar. It's amazing. I've watched so much of those documentaries over the years, just not paying attention.
Right.
And one of my favorite subject is Bigfoot, like I said, but I've been having a lot of paranormal groups on here because they're just a dime a dozen.
Right.
They all have like their home field
Oh yeah.
haunt. It's like a local hospital or a Civil War
Yes.
around here. It's always Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
and those have been my most favorite things. And I've seen, it's always like a third of them I've seen on TV. And Zach Bacon act like he was possessed at him or something.
Right. Right.
And
Yep.
like they tell you the real story behind it. Vulture's Roost. That's scary. Vulture City Mine. I don't know if I could go into a mine.
Oh, they can be interesting. I went into a couple when I lived in Arizona.
Seems like they would just be eat up. So just because they wouldn't have it, the ghosts wouldn't have anywhere to go. Just like, especially the ones out in West Virginia where people cave in and everything like that.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
There was one of the guys I've had on here. He's from Arizona, lives there now, and he saw a dog man out there.
Oh yeah.
He was feeding or taking care of his friend's house while they were on vacation, and walks into his backyard, and there's a dog man out there with a hyena head.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of the skinwalkers because he said it
Right.
specifically had a hyena head, like usually dog men are like German shepherds.
Right. And it probably was a shapeshifter. It probably was.
The fact that he's in Arizona just screamed. You may have heard of him before, Ryan Paul Tremblay. He's one of the.
Yes.
He's always going to cons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Real down to earth.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
have him. I'm gonna have him back on again whenever I do my name change celebration. Be
Oh
one of the
wow.
guys on here.
So what are you naming it to?
I'm naming it the Caffeinated Cryptid.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm kind of. I was gonna because I've been trying to do a podcast for a long time, and I was going to start it real nichey to begin with, but then I thought I'm not ready to go niche just yet,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just kept it what this is, kind of like basically it's like somebody's kid living in their mom's basement. It's my my podcast, but here's the logo.
Oh wow. I love it. Oh,
So
I
now
love that. That's pretty neat.
I'm going more nichey
Right.
because everybody I could get was paranormal anyway, so why not just make it paranormal
There
and
you
sell a
go.
T-shirt?
Yep. I like that. That is pretty cool. Oh
I
wow.
had some Indian person draw that for me.
Right. Oh, that's really good. But now, me and my class, we've started a podcast on. We
Right.
come on every Friday night, and it's called Psychic Files. And we are taking missing persons cases or murdered cases, and my students come on one at a time. They tell me, whatever case we're working on. They tell what they get. Then I do my part after they get done, and then I have a researcher that gets all the information together. She comes on and tells the gist of the story after we give our information
Mm-hmm.
to see how close we are. And then sometimes there are going to be family members that's going to come on and talk about the case.
How long has it been going on?
Oh, we
Here.
just had our very first one last Friday.
How did it turn out, like accuracy wise?
We had quite a few people watching and commenting, and yeah, it was unfortunately the family member could not come on. but it's an active case, and it was a Navajo woman that was missing, Ella Mae Begay. And so this coming, well, tomorrow night at 7, we are having, our second episode, and we're working on a cold case, a murdered case though. So it's going to be interesting because, when you're dealing with missing persons and then you're dealing with murder, it's two totally different avenues. Because in one, we're looking for the missing person. In the other, we're looking who was the murderer.
Yeah.
So
what was it called again?
Psychic Files.
Psychic Files? Okay, I was going to put it up there. You do it live or just record it?
No, we do it live. We'll be on there tomorrow night.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Where is it? Am I spelling psychic wrong?
Let me see. I can send it to you in your email. Oh, not email, but in your.
You can do it Facebook. It's fine.
Okay,
that's crazy. That's what I was asking. How accurate did you get the case for the first episode?
Well, the family has yet to get back with me. Because they're going through
okay. So it's still open then. Yeah,
it's still open. So it takes a little bit more to hear back to see. Tomorrow night is going to be an interesting factor to see because the family's going to be on watching, and then they're going to come on. So here it is.
It might be a podcast worth watching, unlike this one.
Oh, there's Denise. Friday at 7 p.m.
Yeah,
there you go. I just sent it to you.
Oh, you did.
So yeah, and like I said, we just started doing it, and I'm so very proud of my students. Denise is one of my students, and but I'm very, very proud of them.
Now I was spelling that right.
Isn't it weird? I don't understand it.
YouTube hides stuff. I don't know why they would do that.
I don't either.
They kept bringing up people like clips from A&E and stuff.
Oh, that's weird. Well, they can just put it on A&E. That would be fine.
Yeah, you'll accept that.
Yeah,
these are next to Duck Dynasty.
That's it. There we go. I'll go right along with it. These are old videos up here. If you go under the live, then you'll see the first one we done. There it is.
5 days ago.
Yep. It was last Friday.
Wait, did I watch this? Wait a minute.
I don't know. I don't know.
Are you psychically seeding this into me? It's okay.
Maybe that's what it is. But we've really done, I really think we've done a good job on it.
Maybe I did watch some of it. I may have watched some of your other stuff because you had it on your webpage.
Yeah, I'm trying to clean up the YouTube because I want it to go strictly all Psychic Files. But I haven't got in there to take out those other things, but I'm going to.
You just go through, and what you need to do is just do a batch changeover and click them all and turn them all private except for that one. And then
I would if I know how, Bobby.
Go through and clean it up. Click on and clean it up later.
Yeah. That's what I want to do. I want to get all of that off of there and just have the Psychic Files on.
Yeah, they have the little box at the top of the list. You click on it and do like a mass. You click the action.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go there and look. I just haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'd probably quit. Didn't go through and delete them all.
Right. Because most of the other stuff is just where I'm doing my card readings and stuff on Saturday nights.
Oh, you do the tarot card readings?
Oh yeah, I do. Every Saturday night I'm live on this channel, and I do card readings. I do connections to your loved ones. I do because I offer flower readings. When I do flower readings, usually a loved one comes in.
Okay.
So yeah, I do that on Saturday nights.
That stuff. One lady has a show. You may have heard of her. Rachel Corpus has a segment called "Ugly Crying with Rachel." Because she starts talking to their dead relatives. She may be a cold reader. I don't know how that works, but
oh yeah, I've done that gallery readings.
Yeah,
I've done those too. Yeah.
I try not to get so susceptible to that kind of thing, but I get balled in. I'll dig right in. I'll fall right into this stuff and start listening because I'm like a little kid anyway. Because I don't really care if anything's real or not, to be honest. It's just all fascinating to me.
Right, right. And but yeah, I do that on Saturday nights, and then we started Psychic Files. Like I said, last Friday night. Tomorrow night's our second episode, and everybody's ready to go on the case that we're working on. So,
I'm going to post that to my board tomorrow night when it comes on. That sounds fun to watch.
well, I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, it's and
Especially
tomorrow
since
night's
it
even
builds
going
on
to.
itself.
Yeah, we're hoping, that it'll take off because we're just trying to help in any way we can to be the voice of the missing and murdered.
Yeah, that's
So,
a lot of. It actually sounds better than anything that's actually on TV right now.
well, that's what I'm trying to teach my
I mean,
students. This is very important to get closure for the families, and to be there. So we are the voice for them, trying to bring them back home.
this is you may be the most legit psychic I've ever talked to be honest.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm,
you actually sound like there's not any kind of just everything's possible and on the table. It's actually got a cut and dry method to it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I mean, I'm very strict with my students. They'll tell you if they step out and I'm like, no, 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 we're professional here. If we want to be looked up on by law enforcement and others, then we have to do this very professionally.
Hey, it's only a matter of time before psychics and cryptid researchers get some kind of field.
Exactly.
I mean, the UFOs are already there.
Exactly. It's only a matter of time.
I mean, look at I'm trying to think of the guy's name from Psych. Sean. I know you watched that show back 10, 15 years ago. Psych with
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
God, that was such a good one.
Yeah, I don't watch much TV anymore. I haven't for quite a while because I don't want to come across anything, because whenever I work a case, the only thing I want to know is the first name of the person. I want a picture of the person, and if it's known, the last known place the person was seen at.
So you're like
And so,
sequestering yourself.
yeah, because I don't want all this other stuff, because then it can mess up my way of going into it and looking at it. So that's all that I want. Now, if I'm brought into a scene, they usually hand me something of the missing persons, or if it's a murder situation, they hand me something that belonged to that person. And I always take it in my receiving hand, and that's my non-dominant hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I bring any of the information into me. So, there's a lot of little techniques and stuff that I'm teaching them that I'm hoping will help expand for them so they can jump in and do this line of work. It's not for everybody. You have to be really open and ready to take in, but not let the ego come into play at the same time. Because if you let that ego come in, then it starts being a story. You start telling a story that can be written in a book. And that's not the way information comes in. I get it in bits and pieces. Most of the time it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, but I'm putting it down. And it's the little things that end up helping law enforcement or families.
Like in the remote viewing where you see like a red circle.
Exactly.
You're like, what's that go to? And you
go
and
exactly.
And there's like a garbage can with a red top.
Exactly.
That remote viewing is Lionel's checking in. Interesting show.
Hi, Lionel.
You must be doing good because Lionel lets me know when they're not.
Oh, thank the Lord, I got the approval.
You made the cut of Lionel Ray.
He writes good to know.
He writes a Sasquatch article for a magazine.
Oh wow!
Well, is there any like you say your method of, or just being the kind of psychic that you are? Is there any like field that someone like you thrives in that's not like law enforcement, like say like a lawyer or doctor or something, like they can figure something out really quick?
Well, I mean, like sometimes.
What am I trying to ask? I'm trying to be like is there something like you notice like people who are psychic and they happen to be like like they're like the manager of a Wendy's and it's just like off the chain, good at it?
Right. Yeah. And that has happened, and like when I first started out, and I got into the line of, well, I was a flight nurse, and there was some things that happened. Well, something very terrible happened that made me get out of that. Um, so they come from we as psychics, we come from every career possibility. It doesn't matter what you do. Like with me, what I always say, everyone is psychic, but not everyone's a medium. And so psychic can be worked on and you can open up more and perceive more where in the way I feel. Now, not all psychics believe the way that I do, and each their own, but everybody's psychic, but not everybody is a medium. And I feel that
Mm.
medium is something that you're born with. Others say no, they don't believe that. I do believe it. I believe if you're a medium, you were born with that, or it was handed down to you from family.
I would
Uh,
think so.
but now, psychic, anybody can do the psychic. I mean, you can perceive, you can feel, you can sense. So you can, you know, everybody's psychic. And if you just work on that aspect, then you can make it stronger and stronger.
They even have little apps you can get. ESPN, ESP apps. I didn't. That's my
Oh, really?
Freudian slip. Yeah, it's you can think of the next number, the next cover it's going to show.
Right, right.
I'm not
And
sure. I'm not sure what you're strengthening other than guessing 50-50, but
yeah,
some
and
people are better than
and
others.
that's weird because in psychic detective work, we look at vehicles, weapons, um, you know, things of that nature. And we look at, what we see surrounding us, sort of like a remote viewing. So, and I tell my students, like when you go to the grocery store and you're inside there, I want you to be thinking about when you come out, what color car is going to be sitting beside of you. And you start doing that every time, you'll start getting them right over and over and over.
That's crazy. What are you actually strengthening with that?
To
That's
me,
I don't
I
know.
started doing that at a very young age, and I would start doing it with almost everything. Like, I would be going into the grocery store, and I'd be okay. What is going to be a color that I'm going to see in aisle 2? And then I started doing that, and it got stronger and stronger. So to me, you're opening up more of your senses. So like when we work on a case, and you're wanting to get a color of a vehicle, then it's going to make that even stronger. So you're going to start seeing colors of the vehicle. I tell them to start looking at the emblems on cars, especially the ones what we don't know all the time. Like, of course, we're going to know Ford because it says Ford,
Hmm.
but the ones that's rare. Um,
Maserati
yeah. So,
stuff like that.
and so that's what I taught them. I was like, you need to start studying those, the ones you don't know. And so, and it happened to me. And I told him, I said, learn from me because of what happened with me, because I was doing a case and I kept seeing this car, but I had no clue what it was. And they're like, well, tell me the emblem. What? And I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. And, and so, and I was very honest. And so then I started looking at the emblems and started learning them. And it really does help tremendously when you're working on a case and you're looking at a vehicle.
Yeah, especially if it's one of those wild ones
Yes,
that
exactly.
you never see.
Exactly. And then they got a kick out of me because, oh God, I don't know if I can say, I'm gonna try to say it. Mitsubishi. And
Mitsubishi.
yes, I have a heart, and let me tell you what I called it. I was telling myself, well,
Mitsubishi.
it's a Mitsubishi.
Yeah, that's what my grandpa calls it. The Mitsubishi.
And yeah, and so, and I've never been in Arizona. They never let me live it down. The officers that when I was working with them and I worked the case, and I said that if they call me or see me or whatever, they still say that to me. And this was like 20 years ago. Um, so yeah, it's very good to practice that. And even like if you want to get stronger with your psychic, if you do that and you start doing that and say, okay, what color car is it, what color this, you're going to get stronger and stronger with your psychic gifts. So, and
That's
that's what
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
teaching them.
Now I've got to try that.
Yeah, try it and do it every time, and you'll see. You'll go, "Oh my god, I got that right today," and it'll be getting to where it's every day.
There's so many times that stuff happens that you're like, how did I know that was going to happen?
Hmm.
Or you feel something happen.
Oh yeah,
I
and
sensed one day my boss got fired. I was like, I came in after a funeral the next day. I'm like, what is wrong today? Something's wrong. I walked in, sure enough, he got fired on my day off. I was like, wow,
oh
I
my
felt
god.
that shit.
Yeah, yeah, and see that's part of your psychic, and that's what I'm saying. Everybody is psychic, but they just got to work on it to get it really amped up and to the full potential.
You ever seen anybody
Because
come from like the bottom and become like a really good psychic, like from nothing?
oh yeah, oh yeah, like I've worked with a lot of people that I've helped train, and I'm like, and they found out. Well, I know I'm not a medium, but I am very good at psychic. And I mean, and they had never really practiced, and then I started working with them saying, "Okay, try this. I want you to do that." And once they started doing everything out, they became very, very good at being a psychic. Oh, yes.
Has anybody ever accidentally discovered they were a medium?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
from
Yeah, if you
exercising that muscle?
yes, that
I
has
can feel like
happened.
I feel like if you didn't know you were a psychic and you had like a little bit of each of them, like just that opening that path.
Right, right. And it does. It will open up the journey to becoming a medium. You've had it all along. It's just that when we start school and stuff, they start teaching us about book work and English and math, and so we get into that routine, which shuts down the spiritual side or the psychic side. And so if you
Oh yeah.
start working that muscle, and if you are a medium, it will come out. Yes.
Cool. Well, I know you got to go pretty soon.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of one thing, and you can say pass. But what do you think about ah, the gland with the thyroid?
Oh,
Oh
the
my god.
pineal gland?
Yeah. That they started squishing about the turn of the century with fluoride, not thyroid, pineal gland. Yeah,
Yeah.
how it calcifies. Do you think that's has something to do with the reason nobody's psychic anymore?
Yes, very much so, because the pineal gland is one of the glands. Well, thank you, Denise. That is, it's connected to the psychic. It is connected to it. And so once you get that gland open and going, it's going to be just like you're going to be oh my gosh. So very much so. It's very connected to being psychic.
Okay. I've talked to a couple of psychics who are talking about how they changed their diet and got all the filters and stuff for their water and fluoride free toothpaste and just to make it start humming.
Yeah, yeah. And I use essential oils. I make my own oils, and there is a combination that I do that I make, and I use some of the stuff from my Native American heritage, and then there's some other essential oils that I put it all together, and it helps. And you put it on the back of your neck,
Mhm.
and the back of your neck is a portal. And so you put it on the back of the neck, and it helps with the pineal gland, and it helps to open you up.
Okay. Yeah, that's makes sense. Kind of cleans it out a little bit
Right, right.
like a cleaner.
Mhm.
Well, all right. That's when you said something a little bit earlier about cleaning yourself out. I'm like, wait a minute. I wonder if that has anything to do with the pineal gland.
Oh, yes.
Well, this has been a fun conversation, and I want to say I'm glad it ends in an hour, so I can force whenever I have an hour, I force it like a
Right.
fire hose. Yeah, those have been the best ones. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm going to share this psychic files. Just remember, everybody who's watching still, to I want to post it up here again.
I do appreciate it.
That does look fun. That looks like a really fun channel.
Oh, yeah. We're going to, once
everyone
I get
check
in
out
there,
Psychic Files on YouTube.
yeah. And once I can get in there and clean up all this other stuff, I want all that other stuff off of there. But
Yeah, the live is where the first episode is, right there.
yes, the live is where the first episode is. Yes.
Right. All righty. Thanks a lot, Melinda, for being on and
Well, it was a pleasure, Bobby. It really was.
taking a break from all those pancakes and vape pens. There in Gatlinburg. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll go ahead and end the broadcast. Thanks Denise and all her students for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Paul Smith for teaching her up.